Hey guys, we have another ResiArt video for you, and today I'll be going through our launch of our customizable infusion kit with our Christmas templates. These are a seasonal thing, so we only release these once a year and they sell out quick. So want to make sure you get on board with them. But I'll also be going through how we fill these, what's in our kits, remembering too that all of our kits are customizable now. So if you miss out on our Christmas ones, you can actually select any template of ours that you want to include in your kit, and also your own customizable colors now. Okay guys, before we get started, I want to show you what comes in our infusion kit. So basically when you order, you will get one of these. Inside of our box, in our full infusion kit, which includes resin, you will get all of these goodies. So let's go through it with you. So included in your kit is our 600ml kit of our Resi Clear. Now, this allows you more than enough to fill not only one template, but go on to create some other jobs, or you can buy additional templates and fill those as well. Now, we also get your selected template. So these are our special Christmas launch of our templates. However, there are a number of other templates that you can select from, and that comes down to your personal choice. A part of the customization process means that now with our infusion kits, you actually get to select 4 of your own colors. So we have a wide range of colors to select from. So from our fine glitters, chunky glitters, metallic powders, color shift powders. So the range is quite vast. Now to help you create all of this are our accessories as well. So you get 3 pairs of our black nitrile gloves. Now these are an industrial strength nitrile glove, so the resin won't leak through. They're quite thick and they do last. Essential basically for creating with your resin. You get a 400ml ratio container, so you can measure out your resin, which is reusable. So if you let your resin dry in it, you can basically gently squeeze it out and remove the excess dry resin and reuse your container. We have our art stirring sticks. And these guys are used to either dispense your colors or mix up your resin. And our pipettes. Now these guys, I will show you how to use them, but they're great for inserting into the little small channels in your templates. And last but not least, we have our 40ml dispenser cups. So this is what, once you've mixed up your main batch of resin, we will divide into these little cups where you add your color and use those to then pour into your templates. To make it a little bit easier for you, a little thank you card with a QR code that refers back to this video so you know exactly what to do. Now let's get measuring and pouring. So I am just opening up my little Christmas template kit. So there's 4 little baubles in this kit. Now, it doesn't really matter if you're filling our seasonal templates or whether you're filling our normal templates. The method is all the same. So these guys are super cute. And you get 4 in our Christmas template kit. But remember, we only have limited numbers for our Christmas stock. Jump in and order those if you guys are wanting a Christmas set. Now what I'm going to do next is grab my ratio container and I'm going to start measuring out with our Resi Clear. This is a 400ml ratio container. I always make sure I use the 2:1 ratio column because all of our resins are a 2:1 ratio. The 2 part is our part A and the 1 part is our part B, which is our hardener. So I'm going to pop my nitrile gloves on. It's very important that we protect ourselves from the resin. Over time, exposure can cause allergic reactions, so I'm making sure we use these nitrile gloves that are included in your kit. I don't need to wear a mask. All of our resins are VOC free and are 100% solids, so no solvents. When that chemical reaction of part A and part B happens, we don't get any fumes. As I mentioned before, I'm pouring my part A in, which is our resin, and I'm going to use the filling up to the number 2 in my ratio cup. And while I leave our part A, our resin in the cup, I will then top it up with our part B, our hardener, to the number 2 on the right hand side. I always make sure I work with this corresponding number in my columns. If you want a little bit more information about how we measure out and use these ratio cups, please make sure you refer to the video that we've got in the link for you. Now once I've mixed, I do like to do a quick visual check to make sure my part B is floating on top and it looks like I've got 2/3 of my A below, just in case I've used a wrong ratio or accidentally misread it. So I know my ratios are correct, so I'm going to mix away. It's really important at this point when we're mixing to not only just stir through for 4 to 5 minutes, but we want to make sure in that process that we're mixing around the sides and the base of the container. We are using a smaller quantity to fill these templates, so I do want to make sure everything is mixed through thoroughly and that I don't scrape out of my ratio container at the end and have unmixed portions, because that could mean my resin doesn't cure properly in my template. So I've spent about 4 or 5 minutes mixing my Resi Clear Up, and I've made sure that I've thoroughly scraped the sides and the base of my container. Now I do have a fair amount of bubbles in my mixture, which is fine because I know I'll be pouring it out in the right time frame at the right depth. So we're only pouring quite thin here, so that'll give the opportunity for bubbles to raise to the surface, and then we can give those a nice mist with isopropyl and that will pop those bubbles. So with that, I'm going to divide up into my 4 colours. But I also will show you a little trick as well. I'm actually going to divide into 5 colours and make a custom colour out of my 5th colour, only with my 4 colours though. Divided up my 5 colours. Now I'm going to add them to my little containers using my paddle pop sticks. So I've got a raspberry twist. Now when using glitter, you can add a fair amount of glitter to your resin mixture, so that way you get it nice and concentrated and the colour is really intense. If you only put a tiny bit in, your resin will remain basically with translucency to it. So I'll just show you quickly. I'll put in about 4 scoops there with our raspberry twist glitter. And if I pick up my stirrer, I can see that I've got a little bit of translucency left in my mixture here. So I'm going to add another couple of scoops just so I've got it nice and concentrated, so I've got a nice full colour. And move to our next colour. Now my next cup, I've got some deep green metallic powder. With the metallic powders, they turn your resin pretty much opaque straight away, so you don't need as much as you do for your mixtures with comparison to your glitters. So I'll slowly mix that in, and if you can't guess already, red and green, I have personally chosen my 4 colours to represent Christmas colours. And once again, the kits are totally customizable now, so if red and green aren't your thing, then you can select any colour you want. For my 3rd colour, I'm using Stardust Chunky Glitter just to add that super sparkle to these little templates with these baubles, because I do intend on having these on my Christmas tree, and I do find that sometimes the chunkier glitters and the glitter colours will catch the light of your little Christmas lights hanging on your tree as well. So with my chunky Stardust glitter, I probably didn't put enough in. I've got a fair amount of translucency when I pick up my paddle pop stick to have a look. So I'm seeing my resin and just a little bit of my chunky glitter. So I'm gonna add another good few scoops of my glitter into that to make sure it's nice and concentrated. That looks better. So now when I lift up my stirrer, you can see that I've got heaps more chunky glitter colour showing through in my mixture. So I'm happy with that one. 4th colour I chose was silver black, just so I could have a deeper colour to highlight some of these brighter colours. And because it's a metallic powder, again, I don't need as much as I do as the glitters. I'm going to mix that one in. And then I have my 5th colour, and I did say to you guys before that I'm just going to show you how you can create your own custom colour. You don't have to just use your pigments individually. So for my last one, I'm actually going to do a combination of my red and chunky glitter and put the both of them together. So that way I have something that's a little bit sparkly, but it's not as bold as the red. So I've got 4 scoops of my chunky Stardust. And now I'm going to add my raspberry twist in. And give that a stir. So now it looks like I've got kind of like a holographic, sparkly, shinier red. Cool, so I'm happy with that mixture as well. Now the fun bit. We want to pop our colours into our template here. So there are some really fine channels in some of this work, which is where our little pipettes come into play. Otherwise, you can also use these little 40ml dispenser cups as well. They do have a little lip on them, a spout to be able to pour from too. So in a bigger channel, I actually do like to pour directly from my container. So I'm going to start with our candy cane. And I'm going to do it a little bit traditional. So the candy cane itself, I'm going to do red and white. I'm going to do the bow green and my background silver black. So let's get started. The aim is when you're pouring into these channels is to not fill too high as well. The resin does want to self-level, so make sure your template is sitting on a flat surface. And pour in and let it sort of self-level out. If you go too high, you may want to remove some, because if you go too high, it does want to go on the top side of your acrylic template, which doesn't make it easy for us to remove the paper off the top. So once we've finished, there's a brown paper on it that we remove afterwards because that helps protect that top layer. So when we're finished and these are all dry, we'll be able to remove that paper, and we've got a nice white acrylic here as our outlines. So we don't want to fill up too high because it makes it a little bit harder for that to be removed. Just chopping up the tiniest bit more. And while I'm using my black, I might as well fill a couple of other channels in here. So I'm going to use it at the top and the bottom of my heart and little mini tree template. Just filling it into the main bit, and I'm going to let it sort of self-level out into the other sides. Let it sit there. I'm going to fill some lines in my star bauble. Just remember, how you fill your templates is your personal choice. I'm going to do a black bow on this Christmas present one. This is for all the naughty kids who get the coal. Okay. Our glitters do like to sink a little bit, so usually before pouring them into my template, I do like to give them a stir up. Now I want to fill some finer areas with this, but I'll start with just dispensing it from the container again for this particular present one. Now these pipettes are, however you want to pronounce it, tomato, are great for your sucking up your fine glitter or your metallic powders, but when it comes to your chunky glitters, the tips of them are probably a little bit too thin to suck up in the mixture. So what I'm going to do is just cut the tip off of it so it's a little bit wider, and then I'll be able to use it for my chunkier glitters. So I've just cut the tip. So now with my cut tip, I can suck some of this up, and I do that by squeezing the end, dipping it into the little container, and it just wants to naturally release it up through the spout. So now I have it filled. I can actually use this to disperse into the smaller little channels if you're not shaking like me. And that way you have a little bit more precision, popping it into the little tiny areas without overflowing too much. And now I'm going to grab another one and use that to suck up some of my green, deep green metallic powder. Now we'll get really Christmassy and start filling our Christmas trees. And I'm now going to go for, I've got my combination red and sparkly colour that I'm going to pop in the hearts of this one. So I'm just going to give it a quick stir up as it had sunk to the bottom a little bit. And I'm going to dispense that out of the cup into my little hearts on this one. And into my little strip through this one. Just going to start with a little bit in each. See how it self-levels and then come back. Now, did you see what I just did there? I accidentally dripped a little bit of the red in my black silver, so I'm just going to use my pipette just to suck that little bit out and remove it. So you can also use them as a fixing tool. Then with my plain red sparkle, I am then going to add that into my candy cane and in behind my present. I do have a tiny bit too much in one because it is filled with a bit of resin, so I'm just going to suck a tiny bit of that out. And for the time being, we are finished. So sometimes I do like to just clean up the little bit of mess that I might have dripped on the outside of the template, and I will do that by either scraping with one of the art sticks and just scraping it back into its section if it's sort of glitter, or giving it a little wipe over with a cloth, just gently though, and making sure you don't dip your cloth into your resin or your glitters. And as we stir up the glitter as well, when we're mixing it together, it does trap a lot of bubbles. So what I also like to do is make sure I give it a nice mist, just a general light mist with our pure isopropyl, and that breaks the surface tension and pops all those bubbles that are in my mixture. The next stage is to let this cure. So the Resi Clear takes 24 hours to cure if you're using it in the right time frame and at a thin level like this. So come this time tomorrow, we'll be able to start peeling back the paper off of these, off the front and the back, to reveal our final product. So it's a simple and creative way to, I guess, get you making and a little DIY project, as well as customizing for your own Christmas decorations. So, but remembering that this infusion kit, you can customize your colors, and doesn't have to be a Christmas template. It can be our entire range of templates should you choose one of the different templates. Okay, I just wanted to quickly show you before we sign off for this video how to quickly remove the brown paper off a cured template. So this is one that we had that's been completely cured now. Usually great to use something like a set of tweezers just to grab that edge on it. But basically the template, the back and the front does need to come off. So I like to sort of just scrape it up, move it off, and then just gently peel it off. So that's the back side. The front side can be a little bit tedious, especially if you spilt a little bit of resin on it. So make sure you take your time with it. But basically starting at a point in the same manner, just lifting it up. And when you are scratching it off, just be careful not to scratch that surface too much, but just gently pull your template away. You're not pulling your template away, you're pulling your paper away. And then on the little bits that stick behind, just lift that up as well. So you can see how easy it is to remove that paper. Now the skull template, the wolf template and the Geo heart all reveal a black acrylic on the front side. So you've got these cool black bold lines that really accentuate the work. But our floral templates, our coasters and our Christmas templates all have a white acrylic. So the white is a nice stark contrast as well to the colours that you pop in. So keep that in mind when you're creating your pieces, because it does look a little bit different when you take the brown paper off, but it always looks really effective with a nice clean white or black surface. So guys, that is how you fill an infusion template in our customizable infusion kits. So I hope you enjoyed. If you do have any questions, please make sure to leave them in the comments below and we'll help you out. Otherwise, thanks for watching.